yeah, I started collecting cars when I was probably um, in my mid to late 20s. That's when my collection started.
What was the first one that you added to the collection beyond the Triumph?
It was an E-Type.
Okay.
And the story was I wanted to do something in engineering and something in restoration. So I ended up buying an E-Type to restore, but there was quite a long journey to get to the E-Type, because what I actually attempted to do was to buy, what I really wanted to do was to buy a Supermarine Spitfire, you know, the airplane, World War II
Yeah.
British
Yeah.
fighter plane. And a friend of mine, who's now my kind of workshop manager, a guy called Glenn, he had a passion for Spitfires as well. So I was like, okay, well, let's find one. Let's find a Spitfire to restore, and we'll just figure it out, and we'll start doing flying lessons, and we'll fly this thing. Turned out that was a bit too ambitious, because you don't just find unrestored Spitfires sitting in barns, and even if you did, you have to have extremely specialized knowledge and engineering skills and certifications to be able to get one of these things airworthy at a huge expense. And then if you want to fly them,
find an E-Type.
well, exactly. If you want, and then if you want to fly one of these planes, which are extraordinarily dangerous airplanes to fly, especially if you've just passed your flying test. So anyway, the whole thing didn't stack up, and I thought, okay, well, let's just kind of lower our ideas a little bit, and I ended up purchasing a Jaguar E-Type and needed restoration, and we were off with the whole journey.
Never thought of the Spitfire again, or are you still thinking?
Well, actually, I mean, if I really want to bore you with the story, before we got to the E-Type, I actually did buy a Tiger Moth.
Oh,
and tried to restore that, but again realized I didn't have the certain qualifications required to get an old airplane airworthy. So I actually did send that plane to someone else to restore, and they restored it, and it's flying, and I sold it, and it's flying, and it does kind of, you can go and take a ride in a Tiger Moth, in my Tiger Moth, which I had restored.
Amazing. Your interest in cars really fundamentally lies in the engineering, back to that again, and the concepts behind them. And all you have said that all of the cars that are in your collection have something significant beneath the surface. You love form following function. We're going to talk about Porsches in a minute, but form following function, and how that industrial design, and by the way, whether it's clothing or cars, is a mantra that you really follow at all times. Is that fair?
I think that's fair. What's special about cars, I think why I'm particularly drawn to cars, and particularly classic cars, is they encapsulate so many disciplines that I'm interested in. So I love engineering, so I'm interested in I love engines and gearboxes. I love the story and the development of engines, and just the whole powertrain of a car. I also feel, especially with the cars that I like, which are predominantly European sports cars from the 1960s, I think broadly that describes what I like. They're like sculptures, so I can appreciate the form of the cars, on a sculptural level. But then, really, when you're looking at those era of cars, the interiors, the leatherwork, the stitching, I mean, there's all these disciplines rolled into one object. And I'm fascinated by all of those different disciplines that have been put into this kind of singular, beautiful object.